All right, welcome everyone to Hot Topic Tuesday, our favorite segment on League of Leaders. We have today joining us Al Fragnoli and Brandon Gunn. I'm Zach Sooty. We're excited to talk to you about some topics this evening, and we're going to get into the NHL. Al, I want to talk to you about the Washington Capitals' Tom Wilson. He's getting attention again. He's known for some of his dirty hits, and he struck again when he took out Boston Bruin Brandon Carlo the other night with a hit to the head against the boards there. There's a no call on the ice, but the NHL did meet and suspend him. So, what are your thoughts on the play? Was it dirty? Did the NHL too many games, not enough games? What are your thoughts?
Yeah, great question to start the Hot Topic Tuesday off here, Zach. Dirty play? I think so. I mean, I think everybody would agree on that. He hasn't had an incident in quite a long time. It's been, I believe, 18 months. After looking into it some, that he has not had a dirty hit or been suspended or anything like that. But he's the most penalized player since joining the league in 2013. So most penalties by any player in the NHL since 2013. He's been suspended, I believe, 5 times, fined on 2 separate instances for dirty hits. I'm not a big fan of his. I love the physical play. I really, really do. I love that aspect of hockey. I think once you get into postseason hockey and you got your rivalries and everything, it's awesome to see physicality. It does need to be a part of the game, makes a difference. But when it comes to dirty plays and dirty hits, I don't think there's any room in the game for that. With concussions and everything that's going on with athletes in today's day and age, when it appears to be deliberate and intentional, I'm not for that. So I'm not a big fan of Tom Wilson. I want to see the NHL come down real hard on him, in my personal opinion. And that's my 2 cents on it. Brandon, I know you're a big hockey guy. Your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, I think that the play, there's no denying that it was a dirty hit. I mean, the elbow made contact with the head made contact with the glass. It's, exactly what the NHL is trying to eliminate from the game right now, especially with concussions being at the forefront of everything, in terms of medical safety. What I would say, though, is it's really tough when Tom Wilson is a guy who plays on the line of right between pushing the envelope and gritty. It's hard to play right on that line all the time and not cross it at points. This was a heated rivalry between Washington and the Bruins. Alex Ovechkin almost got goaded into a fight by Frederick the day before. So there was a little bit of background. And I think that Tom Wilson, being the player that he is, was responding to some of those things that were going on before. It's really tough too, because once again, Tom Wilson, he's got 17 points on the season so far. So that would definitely lead, my local Red Wings in terms of points. So he's a skilled player. And that's why it's a little bit tough to see him to get into trouble so frequently. It has been 18 months between his last situation that kind of boiled up to the league office. So I would like to see him just scale it back a little bit. But when you're a guy who has to play with that edge to get yourself going and really get on the ice and be impactful for your team, sometimes the lines probably get blurred a little bit. Maybe the wires cross a little bit and you do some things that are regrettable. But I do think that the 7-game penalty that he got, the 7-game suspension, I believe that was definitely due to the past suspensions that he's had. If you look around the league, there were a couple of other incidents that happened recently over the weekend that the hits could have been just as bad or worse so. And the penalties just did not level or even up with what Tom Wilson had gotten. But that being said, I do think that there is a space or there should be some sort of precedent considered when penalties are handed out. So I think that the 7 games were of his own doing, be it of the past, but I think it was fair just because that's what the game is trying to eliminate right now.
Yeah, I apologize. When I asked the question, I think I mentioned 5 games. So I was mistaken. It was 7 games. And, I'm not going to comment too much on it. Being a Pittsburgh Penguin fan, there's some rivalry between the Capitals and Penguins. And Tom Wilson, a few years back, did some damage to Connor Sheary. I'll just say that I think Tom Wilson has a history. It's going to continue to follow him. And whether he goes another 18 months with an incident or not, they're going to reflect back on his play uh, for his career, and that's going to determine his future suspensions and whether or not he'll continue to play in the league. He's got to change, in my opinion. It just can't happen anymore in this league. So for safety, uh, for medical reasons. So I'll leave it at that. So, gentlemen, I'll come back to you with this one. Big Ten tournament is set, arguably the best conference in all of college basketball. How many teams you have making the tourney, and what bubble teams do you have in at the moment?
Yeah, good question. I know at the start of college basketball, when we first got underway, there was a lot of talk that there might be 10 or 11 Big Ten teams making it to the tournament, which to me is crazy. But the Big Ten for college basketball has got to be the SEC of college football, right? So it's very, very deep conference. This year, there's a lot of good teams. Right now, currently, we got 3 Big Ten teams ranked in the top 5, with Illinois at 3, Michigan at 4, and then I believe Iowa rounding it out at 5. The top 4 teams, I think they're very top heavy in the Big Ten. Top 4 teams, Michigan, Illinois, Ohio State, Iowa, I think all have a great chance if they're clicking to really make a run to the Final Four and potentially a national championship. I think they're that good. Purdue, Wisconsin, Rutgers, Maryland, MSU are going to round out the last few teams that I think make the tournament. I think Purdue is another great team that's playing great basketball right now and can make a deep run as well. I'm not sure about Final Four worthy, but Sweet 16, Elite 8, I think is potential depending on who they match up against. I like Wisconsin as well, even though they've struggled of late. I still do think that they're a very well-coached team. They can control the tempo of a basketball game. They can slow it down. So if they get out to an early lead, they can play lockdown defense and they can really, really slow down the game very well. Probably better than any team in the country. Rutgers, I think, has potential to maybe go Sweet 16. Maryland and MSU, I think, are the two that are lingering. It really bothers me, to be honest with you, that they're even in consideration. I mean, they're below 500 in the conference. They're just barely over 500 overall. And MSU, they got a big win the other day against Michigan. They don't get that win, and it would have been a toss-up. They might have made the tourney based on their reputation. Maybe Tom Izzo would have cried a little bit to try and, get a pity berth in there. Who knows? But we'll see what happens. I think Maryland and MSU will get bounced pretty early in the tournament. And the other 7 teams, I think, have a chance to, Sweet 16 and beyond for them. So it'll be interesting to see what happens. But yeah, those are I got 9 teams from the Big Ten making it to the tournament this year. So deep conference, very good basketball. And we'll see what happens. Brandon, your thoughts?
So 8 teams is the most the Big Ten has ever sent to the Big Ten or to the big tournament. I'm sorry. And I think that 8 teams is going to be what they send again this year. I think they're going to send Illinois, U of M, OSU, Iowa, Purdue, Michigan State, Maryland, and Wisconsin. Now, I do agree with you. I think Michigan State might be getting in on reputation alone, and their resume is really strange when you look at it. They've got some quality wins, but their overall record is brutal. So it makes you wonder if, just some of those big wins partnered with Tom Izzo's reputation, the reputation that he's built at Michigan State, gets them into the tournament. Now, in terms of teams that can make noise in the tournament once they get in, I'd agree 100%. I think Michigan has proven, they can play with anybody. They can play a variety of different ways, and they're fun to watch. And they've got a big man in Hunter Dickinson that is just dominating down low. So it'll be interesting to see him go. I also think that Illinois is a great team. They've just leapfrogged Michigan due to their loss against Michigan State. And so I think that they can go into the tournament and make some really big noise. Once again, Final Four team. OSU, I think that they've taken some losses recently and maybe have taken a step back from where they were when, Michigan and Ohio State played when they were ranked 3 and 4. But once again, still a solid team. And the Big Ten as a whole, I don't think there's any sort of debate in terms of them being the biggest and strongest conference in the nation when it comes to college basketball. It's really tough to see, any given night these teams go against each other, and the away team is going to have a hard time playing that home team at home, even without the crowd noise and everything. I think that it's been a year that, you see some blue bloods and things like that duck out of the tournament. I think that the Big Ten could very well, to your point, Al, get 9 teams in just because we have some people ducking out. So I think it's going to be 8. I wouldn't be surprised if it's 9. And I think that they'll have a really good showing once they do get there.
Zach, what are your thoughts?
Not too keen on the Big Ten. So I think I'd be surprised to have 9 teams go. I think I agree with Brandon. 8 teams, Michigan rolling. Michigan State, Tom Izzo's and their reputations, carrying them if they do get into the tournament. So, just some thoughts there for fun. I think Michigan's going to the Final Four for sure. And you might have 2 teams in the Final Four and probably a couple more in the Elite 8.
Yeah, Zach, I really like Illinois and I like Michigan to make a deep run. And, I know you're not big on Big Ten basketball right now. I know you're a Penn State guy, so we'll save those conversations for football season for you. All right, Zach. We'll shift it over to our next question right now. Big news that came out of the NBA the other day. Obviously, Blake Griffin hadn't played the last few games with the Pistons, so we knew he was going to get traded or released. He was released, bought out his contract, became a free agent, just signed by the Brooklyn Nets. So the Brooklyn Nets are now incredibly, incredibly deep. They were already deep to begin with. Thoughts on how good this team can be? Are they now the favorites out of the East? Are they the favorites to win the NBA championship this year? Zach, we'll start with you on this one. What do you think?
Yeah, I think the move makes them the favorite. I think the Nets are going to be the team to beat. There's also talks of the Nets making another move. Maybe someone to help defend Embiid when it comes to the playoffs. So it's going to be interesting to see if they make that happen. So I think the Nets. I think they are the favorite to win it all right now. I know we've had this discussion about super teams and guys recruiting other guys to come play, and we've seen it so many times before now. It's become the culture of the NBA, and I don't want to sound like a fuddy-duddy or back in my day when I watched basketball, but I'm going to be that guy right now. I miss the competitiveness of the NBA. I miss the days of players hated each other. It's fun to see them get along and things like that. But, when Kobe Bryant played, there was healthy competition. He respected guys, he liked guys, but when you were on the court, you weren't friends. He played and he drew a line. He talked to you before the game, after the game, but on the court, you were enemies. And I think when he moved on, when he retired, that changed the NBA, and the new culture kind of came in of this, the friendships on, off, and even on the court during games. So not trying to sound like a fuddy-duddy, but I'm not a fan of these super teams. I want to see some grit. I want to see some elbows sometimes. But yeah, to answer your question, I think the Nets are the favorite. I think they're going to make another move and be very competitive in the NBA this year. And as for super teams, not a fan. Brandon, what are your thoughts? I'm sorry.
Yeah, so Zach, I hate to echo your sentiment. I know that different conversations are viewed as good things. But I agree with you. I mean, I think that, you see the Michael Jordan Bulls going against the Pistons, and the rivalry that the Pistons had with the Celtics, and, all the different rivalries over time. Rivalries are the great part of sports, in my opinion. And I feel like we're missing a lot of that. And especially in the NBA, where the guys play against each other, but then pull each other aside and, talk about free agent plans for the next year. I'm with you. In terms of Blake Griffin, I agree 100%. I think that, if it doesn't put them at the favorite or in the favorite role, they're at least in top two. They're going to be right up there with the Lakers. I think that, will his role be a starting role, Blake jumping over cars and stuff like that? No, it won't be back to the, the Blake coming out of Oklahoma. It won't be that. But it will be him coming off of the bench, being a good teammate, and playing his role off of the bench, in my opinion, for them to win. But back to the super teams, I just think it's great. Super teams are great for the NBA and viewership, and it's proven by the numbers and all of that. I'm less of a fan because here I am in Detroit. It's not a free agent destination, and unless the ping pong balls fall in our favor, we're not going to get any of those guys. And if we do get those guys, are they leaving in a couple of years to join that super team, in Miami, or, it seems like all of them are in either places that tax implications help their money grow, or, just time away from basketball is better for them. And I don't think Detroit will be that. So, the going to work Pistons, that's how Detroit's going to win if we're going to win a championship. And as a result, that makes it really hard for me to be pro super team.
Yeah, I agree with both of you guys. I cannot stand the super teams. Don't like them one bit. I think 90s basketball growing up as a kid was phenomenal in the NBA. So many heated rivalries, so many really good physical teams. A lot of energy that they brought. They didn't like their opponents, right? I don't like seeing the guys laughing and smiling during a game at each other against your opponent. Not a big fan of that stuff. Definitely want to see some more healthy competition. And can we please play some defense in the NBA? I know we're going to shift subjects a little bit here, but please play some defense. I think the best defensive team in the NBA right now averages 103 points a game allowed. So to me, that's crazy. So anyway, we'll shift to the NFL. A lot of noise going on in the NFL right now. Zach, we'll start with you here. We know you're a Pittsburgh Steeler guy. Bud Dupree, they're not going to use the franchise tag on him. Your thoughts?
Not surprising. The Steelers have some cap issues. Ben did a restructure on his contract, but wasn't much help to sign any big names. And unfortunately, Bud's going to move on, and he deserves a big contract. The guy proved himself to be a great rusher, and he's gonna be a star somewhere. He had an unfortunate injury that took him out last year, so he didn't have an opportunity to really prove his last year of his contract, his true worth. But I don't think that's going to hurt him at all. There's going to be some teams out there that have some money, and they're going to go get him, and he deserves it. The guy's a star. So, but with that, the Steelers aren't going to sign Juju. They're going to have some issues. I think Juju is going to become a free agent. So there's a hot free agent market right now, and there's more guys that we're probably going to talk about here that are not going to be franchised, and it's going to be a pretty exciting free agent market. What are your thoughts, Brandon?
Yeah, I mean, well, there was a big name in my neck of the woods, Kenny Galladay, who did not get the franchise tag. And for us here in Detroit, I mean, obviously we've been rebuilding forever, it seems. So, but what this showed us, I think, locally, is just the fact that the direction of the team, for the first time ever, I think they're actually admitting that there's a rebuild to be had. You've got Kenny Galladay, who's 27, 28 years old. Signing him to a long-term contract, just the window wouldn't work out with where the Lions are at. So I have no doubt that they tried to broker some franchise trade discussions with some other teams and maybe they fell flat. But them just walking away from the deal or walking away from the franchise tag just tells me that they're just, they're fully embracing this rebuild. And you look around the NFC North and you've got players like Aaron Jones and things like that are changing addresses. I think, Zach, I agree with you. I think that this is a very interesting free agent year. And that, in addition to all of the quarterbacks that could potentially be changing addresses, I think the NFL is in an offseason that I can't remember personally, between, Russell Wilson asking for a trade, Deshaun Watson asking for a trade. I mean, you've got some big name guys, Matthew Stafford being traded in the offseason. There's a lot of big names that are changing addresses this year, and I think it's going to make for a very interesting NFL year in this upcoming season.
Yeah, I couldn't agree with you more, Brandon. I do think it's going to be an interesting offseason. A lot of names that'll be on the move. The one thing I wish the Lions would have done is I wish they would have seen this, because I think I think all the information that we needed was there last year during the middle of the season, with Kenny Golladay having some mysterious injuries, sitting out games. I would have loved to have seen them try to trade him before the deadline just to get something in return. So that didn't happen. But yeah, a lot of names are going to be on the move. One name that we can count on that isn't going anywhere is Tom Brady is going to be a Tampa Bay Buccaneer. We know that he's going to be there probably for a long time to come. He's probably got more Super Bowl championships in the horizon there. And what a leader Tom Brady is. But anyway, that wraps it up for Hot Topic Tuesday. Thank you, Brandon, for joining us as a special guest tonight. Always a pleasure to have you on. We hope you enjoyed our conversation. We hope you join back with us next Tuesday for Hot Topic Tuesday. And we hope you take a listen this Sunday as we're joined by Chris Cook, Senior Manager of Events and Athletics for Park and Recreation for the beautiful city of Clearwater, Florida. So we hope you tune in this Sunday. But thank you again for joining us.